Everyone, you're with Matthew, you're at the Hub, and we're exploring what making yoga accessible is for people living with trauma, loss, and disability, and what kind of onus that puts on people that want to do this work, which I think is very, very important. In the last segment, we talked a little bit about really what you're doing is not just including somebody because that's the right thing to do. You are exploring what yoga actually is. And the line in the last segment was, yoga belongs to everyone, everyone belongs to yoga. That's the truth. And what you are on as a yoga teacher is the exploration of how that is true. Now, what's very interesting to me, that does not mean, in my opinion, that every style of yoga has to be able to be taught to everyone. Because there are people of different abilities, there are different methods, there's a huge yogic landscape, right? And there are time-tested ways of teaching yoga, ways of doing yoga that have developed over years and years, right? And so the idea that somehow everyone all of a sudden is going to be able to take how they've been taught to teach and realize how to teach that universally to every kind of condition and every kind of situation, I don't think that's realistic. I think we have to think about it slightly differently. I think, and the analogy I like to give is about accessible buildings. And here's what I mean. It's okay that buildings have escalators or stairs. It doesn't mean in making the world accessible, it doesn't mean we have to knock down every upstairs. It means if you come into a building and it's got a stairs or an escalator, it just means that building also needs to have an elevator. Now, I'm talking about this on a metaphorical level, is that there may be all different ways to different places in yoga, and some of the paths might not be accessible. Like, for example, I can't do upside down headstand, Shirsasana, or shoulder stand upside down, Sarvangasana. And that means if that was the only way I could get into the depth and sensations of inversions, then I would be stuck, right? But the truth is that there are other ways to teach some of the insides of those poses, some of the sensations of those poses, without it being predicated on me being able to do Shirsasana the way I would be able to do it if I hadn't sustained a spinal cord injury. And that's what I mean by building elevators, that we have to, and I think the elevators that have to be built are on the onus of the teacher to figure out how it is to create practices and teachings that allow there to be an elevator to some of the content, which on another level makes you have to rethink about what yoga is. And what is it that you think yoga is doing? Of course, and especially asana. That's what my specialty is. So is asana about teaching the poses and what they look like? Is it about teaching someone how to unify from inside to out? Is it teaching them how to integrate inward and outward dimensions simultaneously? See, I think when you have that line, being able to teach the inside and outside of whatever movement someone is doing, there I think you're getting closer to the heart of yoga, and that's universal. And so the point here is that you're going to have to explore yoga differently. You're going to have to explore how to make an elevator for students that can't do the poses the same way. And what you will find in our approach that you will see at the Hub in these teaching instructions is that I made the decision early on in my own yoga practice that I wanted to feel like I belonged to yoga, which for me could never have traveled from the outer pose to the inner pose because there were so many poses I couldn't do. So at Mind Body Solutions and here at the Hub, you're going to experience and explore how to teach yoga from the inside out, from emphasis on things like the subtle body and the movement of awareness that's involuntary, not the things, not as predicated on people's ability. And the ultimate goal, I remember I heard Gary Kratzow say this that really, really stuck with me, even when I disagreed with it at the time. I only kind of disagreed with it, but he said, asana is not an end in itself. That's not just about asana, that's about every limb of yoga. That asana and yoga poses are not an end in themselves. They are the curriculum to a certain level of deepening realization. And I think that realization is of unity with the space around you. And so that's something I want you to all explore, what you think you're ultimately teaching when you're teaching yoga. And this will inform how you teach, quote, traditional students, not just people living with all different kinds of conditions. What is it you're teaching? What is it that the methods that you've learned and the way you've learned from your teachers, how do they achieve this bigger aim? And how can you realize an elevator for some of the things that require things that people can and cannot do? This is why I think adaptive yoga or teaching yoga to everyone, whatever you want to call it, is going to deepen your love of yoga. You are going to see things about prana, about the movement of awareness, about the potential of human being, about the integration of inward and outward, of sadness and joy. All of these things are going to start to become manifest to you, and you're not going to believe all that yoga is teaching you. That's why I want everyone to be able to teach everyone or to be an adaptive yoga teacher, because I want everyone to love the integration of human consciousness towards the movement of compassion and nonviolence. That's part of my take. That's what my whole next book's about. Until next time, I'll see you at the hub.